Urgent Report, Generalleutnant Lehmann, 2. Gardeinfanterie, Brest-Litovsk, Sektor Süd. We were woken up to unusually heavy artillery bombardment. The impacts were noticeably larger than the usual Russian 75mm shells. Shortly after, forward observation posts reported Russian tanks breaking out through the tree line covering the fortified positions east that we've tried to break for months. We still haven't received the anti-tank guns I had requested mid-last year, so we readied the older 105s and the 20mm for direct fire. What came rumbling towards our position surprised us, and surprise turned to fear. We scored several direct frontal hits at less than 1,000 meters, but the hardened shells we had adapted the captured field guns for, as well as the 20mm AP, simply bounced off the frontal plates of these new Russian tanks. We observed two types, both a tank armed with what looked like a 75mm high-velocity gun, and a sort of assault cannon with a fixed superstructure and a massive naval-grade howitzer firing high-explosive ordnance right into our lines. Despite the discipline I have prided myself in instilling in my battalions, casualties mounted and the non-reinforced trenches we had dug proved to provide little defense against the large-caliber bombardment. Some squadrons reported success in disabling the tanks in point-blank engagements by blowing their trucks off, but they kept firing regardless and the combat teams were cut down by Russian infantry. Urgently requesting more capable anti-tank ordnance. Where are the Luftstreitkräfte? Von Kluge's infantry is indeed struggling to hold the line against the heavy tanks coming in, although we have lost a bit of organization ourselves. The light tanks are now supporting the attack as well, while the rest of the troops is blocking the counter-assaults from the north. And Brest-Litovsk has been significantly reinforced with the retreating German troops, such that a direct assault on the city is going to be a difficult endeavor, but we will do so regardless. In the north, we are still holding Memel against furious German attacks by, at this point, 39 German armored divisions. The full might of the German army is now at this point definitely on the Eastern Front, from their perspective, Western Front from ours. Meanwhile, in Kenya, we are making advances against German Middle Africa and South African positions, and I think the Guards divisions here are being relatively capable, despite the fact that the German anti-air guns don't really have much problems with the older flame tanks that we're bringing along, and overall they don't provide too much of a sort of armored fist capability. The third place we're fighting is in the north in Sweden, where we have an opportunity to cut off the enemy near Trondheim. But before we do that, we have to do something about the war support, because the combat casualties, despite the fact that overall casualties are relatively light, we're still at 270,000 compared to probably 3 million plus inflicted casualties on the enemy side. Despite that fact, we still have to obviously deal with that at home, and I believe exhortation of heroism is in order, and we will begin the propaganda effort in order to reduce the impacts of these, and that should overall be somewhat beneficial. We still haven't made any headway with figuring out how to free our captured operative. We have not found out where the Poles are holding him, so overall he must be considered lost to the cause, unfortunately, and will be replaced in due time. Meanwhile, the Russian Air Force is facing a large number of German enemy craft over Belarus. Our air detection isn't quite as good as I was hoping it was going to be. So let's have a very brief look at the radar situation. And we do have a radar station in Pinsk, but we're missing coverage. We're missing coverage further out forward, unfortunately. However, this should decently cover the air zone. We don't have any. We only have we still have a second radar in Zitomir under construction. That is probably why this hasn't really happened yet. Can we maybe prioritize that over this one? Let's do it like that. We're building up a few radars along the front line just to improve our overall coverage. All right, other than that, we just have to observe where things are going, and we will see if we can manage to break the Germans here. Unfortunately, they have decrypted our ciphers, so it's once again time to deal with the cryptology. We would have to do machine-assisted encryption at this point. I think what we'll do instead, that's 15 factories. That is unfortunately quite a lot. But if we want to prevent Germany from breaking our ciphers, that is probably the only way to go about it. But I think what I'll do first is the radio interception group, and we'll see if we can return the favor somewhat. Now, that is going to give them a bit of a boost. Yeah, that is definitely giving them an intelligence advantage to a degree, but I think in the end they will not manage to hold out. We're down to 4 defending divisions on the enemy side. That's 1 in reserve. That's a Dutch militia and a German and 2 German and an Austrian division. So all in all, I think we will break this position and then get to Brest-Litovsk itself. We're still fighting the first division, 1st Infantry in Sweden in their mountain position, but hopefully we can manage to dig them out from their entrenched positions there. And we have to keep an eye on the situation south of here, where reinforcements are being brought in, unfortunately. So right now we are engaging the Bezirkskommando as well as a local mountaineer division, but they are bringing in reinforcements, so we will see if we can push through here. But we may have to we have a mountain division here now as well. So I am at this point slightly concerned about the front line, however. So I'm thinking of abandoning. We have a massive sandstorm going in. I'm going to get the regular infantry to increase their presence on that line, and we will be bringing in the mountaineers to assist as well further south. All right, and that gets us back to Memel, where for now I think they have taken a bit of a break. But more interestingly, they've brought in reinforcements. That is unfortunate. So they have brought in reinforcements. They're back to 7. They brought in a Dutch tank division, I think. Is it? That is a Dutch armored division they've brought in. So we will see how they fare against our tanks. But I think we're starting to lose the momentum a little bit here, and in the face of these reinforcements, I think we will probably stop the assault soon and go back to the defense for now, unless we can manage to. We still got some reserves with the light tanks that we can bring in, but we will have to see, especially that we get counterattacked from various directions, and they're bringing in out reinforcements from Brest-Litovsk. So we'll have to see how that goes. Meanwhile, we are getting counterattacked, and I think we are losing the. We're getting counterattacked by a Swedish relief force now, so we will have to give the division some time to recover, to restart the operations against that entrenched Swedish position. And then we'll throw the Mountaineers and the 154th into the fray once more. I think we don't want to give the Swedes too much time to dig in, so we'll launch the attack again. Uruguay has capitulated, so Argentina is spreading rapidly in South America, but we're already engaged in multiple continents at this point. So I think we'll instead we'll leave that to somebody else and not necessarily get involved. We've worn down the enemy troops into a single Kenyan division, so I think that is reasonably we've managed to advance. And now the question becomes, can we... Okay, we're going to have to hold the line here first and wait for the reinforcements to arrive, and then see if we can, after we've defeated the inevitable counterattack, we can use the momentum to move on into Kampala. So that is an important consideration. More reinforcements have arrived south of Brest-Litovsk, and I think we'll at this point we'll stop the attack for now. We give the division some time to rebuild their organization, and then we will launch the next assault once the planning has been completed, and we'll give them. That'll give them some time for a second assault. The first assault has been reasonably successful. Let's see if we can actually see the that would be this one. We've lost 7 tanks, and they have lost a total of 6,700 men on the enemy side, with vast amounts of equipment lost as well. I think in the comments somebody mentioned that the field marshal trade, the general trades on the field marshal, apply at 50%. That sounds about right. I haven't looked it up myself, but that means that the next when Field Marshal Denikin makes his next level, I might take the scavenger trade and get a bit of equipment capture going. Although overall it's not as dire as it used to be anymore. We're short on light and heavy tanks. We're a bit short on flame tanks, and obviously the air war is not necessarily going easy for us. So I'm not sure why they're bringing up aircraft over Poland. Oh, because we have some of ours are getting a little ambitious here instead of focusing on the Baltic states. These air wings are getting a little under strength now. But because we haven't restarted production of close air support, because we're still building the factories necessary for that. But factories are coming in now. Overall, the numbers are actually not looking too bad. We're still maintaining a 1-to-2 kill-death ratio, only on fighters if you don't count the bombers in as well. And we are seeing, we're starting to see Bf-109s being brought back to the front lines. So it could be that the German aircraft production is not quite as effective in keeping up with the losses anymore as it used to be, and in this high intensity conflict. So that's unfortunately okay. We've been beaten back here, and by Swedish counterattacks. So we'll have to return. We will have to give the divisions some time to reorganize themselves here. Unfortunately, the Norwegians are now starting to at least somewhat hold the lines, although this still looks very, very open. So this fight is by no means won, and I am almost thinking of getting another. I'm thinking of getting another of Ungarn Sternberg's 5th Army troops up here. And I think I'm actually going to leave, Ungarn Sternberg himself is an infantry expert, but he does not have the mountaineer trait, unfortunately. And these troops are under Witkowski, who is a much less experienced commander than Ungarn Sternberg. So maybe what we'll do instead is we will send... we've got a good amount of troops here, so I think we can spare maybe 2 more mountain divisions for the northern front here, and we will bring we'll bring them in, and we will we will get that under we'll get that back under Ungen Sternberg's command. So that would probably be the best effort, and I think we will actually get we'll bring them north, and then we'll organize that a little bit. All right, counterattacks out of Brest-Litovsk are continuing, and that makes it relatively difficult for the tank forces to reorganize themselves. But it's relatively sporadic, and I think we will, for now, remain defensive here and give the tanks some work to do. After days of high-intensity fighting in the capital's suburbs, Fengtian troops finally scaled the walls to the outer city, scattering the defenders and making further defenses of the capital all but untenable. Zhang Zuolin's arrival at the Forbidden City's gates spared no pomp or circumstance, but his triumph must be punctuated by one sobering thought. This is not the first time he has taken Beijing. For all his efforts so far, a long road lies ahead. As the five-color flag flies over Tiananmen Gate and the city remains wreathed in smoke, Zhang has already begun preparing his national reunification conference. Can he bring these fractured nations together and succeed where so many others have failed? So, after multiple failed naval invasions and much fighting, Japan and the Fengtian government that is allied with them has taken Beijing. But of course, China is far from defeated, and they have a good defensive line. They have a very good defensive line on the ground here, if they can hold that, I think, for quite a while. In other news, they're still fighting here, and the German invasion, German East Asian landing at Burma has brought them in direct conflict with India, where Indian divisions are now counterattacking against German East Asia on Burmese soil. And probably will bring that to a relatively rapid end here, depending on how many troops they have actually landed. They are looking reasonably well equipped, actually, but we don't know how that looks elsewhere. And that brings us back to Kenya, where, we have managed to get in, and I think we definitely need to reorganize the front lines now. We need that to focus here. And we will send. We'll leave 2 divisions here for now, and we'll retake Kampala. But I'll already start building railways. That needs the Uganda railway needs to take priority, such that we can connect the supply hub in Kampala and actually get supply here. But I think we may have managed to use the momentum to take the bridges and to push out the 18th Bezirkskommando that was holding the lines there. I am seeing now enemy aircraft. German fighters now over the area, but I think they're launching from Zanzibar, which means they probably won't have range to be effective over here. But we also can't spare any air forces to make anything happen. All right, Brest-Litovsk, I am waiting for the plan preparation to complete. But for that, obviously, we need to wait for... we do need to wait somewhat for the incessant counterattacks to cease. While they're not particularly effective, they are indeed constant and irritating, and I think that prevents these divisions. I might have to pull them back from the front lines, actually, if we are to. Well, unfortunately, then they can't plan. If we are to make this effective, we could also try further south in order to not be exposed to the constant flanking attacks from the north. So we could try to push this sector and then move north from there. That would be the alternative. But we'll see if the counterattacks are stopping at some point. We're producing the super heavy howitzer now, which isn't in use currently, but we're making one a month. So we will start incorporating that into our division templates. Okay, I do need a division actually. I might give this division a separate front line here. And then we'll do a pincer attack, although that is a river crossing, but we'll do a pincer attack across the positions into and trying once again to cut off the Swedes here, but we'll see how that goes. For now, we are waiting for the troops and renewed attacks against Memel by Guderian's somewhat reconstituted forces, although they're still extremely low on supply. And we have significantly experienced troops here with the mountaineers standing. Unfortunately, again here the problem is the incessant assault that is simply not giving the divisions on our side any time to recover, and also doesn't allow us to get the fortifications constructed. We're still at level 1, so that'll take some time, and we do have to keep an eye on that. Here we are not, I think, I'm not able to actually plan these attacks simply due to the consistent and incessant assaults on the friendly lines. But we do have to keep a bit of an eye on Memel at this point. However, we also need to, yes, we have managed to take Kampala, and the mountaineers have joined as well. That, however, means that we still have to get the regular infantry to hold these lines. Friendly troops, I think, are having that under control over in the northern parts. So once the railway is constructed and we get supply out of the newly captured supply hub, we can begin the assault towards Nairobi, which obviously means we have to fight our way through the mountains here, and that's what the mountaineers are for. So we'll wait until supply is restored, and then we'll begin. We will begin the attack eastwards, and we'll gradually reduce the cover of the rear that we've been holding, because I need the rest of the divisions to assist with holding the forward lines here. So friendly troops can maintain that, and we do have to now keep a bit of an eye on Memel here and see how that fight is going, because we are coming under fierce assaults now. We do have 5 tank divisions ready for a counterattack if need be, but we have green air. Unfortunately, not an awful lot in terms of actual fighters in the positions. Right, it looks like the attacks against Brest-Litovsk for now have ceased, so we'll wait until the plans are completed, until the plan preparations are completed. We could use a staff office plan for these divisions in order to speed that up, and that might not be a bad idea. 20 command power I can afford, so we'll do that for now, and get the planning completed more rapidly. Supply situation should be all right. Mostly this is due to damage. So I think we are looking at a as well supplied as can be position here at the front. And despite that fact, we have only a 58% supply status on the tank division. They simply take too much. They take up too much supply. We could. I would have to change the maintenance. I could change the maintenance company out for the. Do we have the research for that? Let me check. We don't have the logistics company research, but this is something that we could. So that might actually make sense for the heavy tank divisions to change out maintenance. Change out maintenance for logistics. But we'll see how we'll see what we do. For now, we'll do what we can here, and give these divisions a bit of time to plan their attacks. In Kenya, we are getting counterattacked in the north here by relatively strong forces. We have to keep an eye on it that we're not getting cut off, but the supply lines here are still going to be. Being converted by the looks of it. It doesn't tell me though. Okay, we'll wait a little bit and see if that sorts itself out. Actually, yeah, that we might have to. Okay, so much for leaving this to the friendly divisions. We will give them fire support in pushing this suspicion that that's not German Empire. That looks more Dutch or something, Belgian. Okay, so we've pushed them out from there. So we'll retake this position here. We do have to be a little careful with the north, but I think we are now starting to see enough divisions flooding into the lines that this shouldn't be too much of a problem. Memel, however, is becoming a bit of an issue unless we can push the enemy panzer divisions out of the attack and give them give our divisions a little bit of time to recover. And in the air, we are still fighting superior numbers. But the enemy is now starting, by the looks of it. Now they've brought in more Focke-Wulfs. So I was thinking that they were running out of modern planes, but it seems they've brought in more Focke-Wulfs again. And we see sporadic assaults against our troops that are defeated very quickly. So we're just waiting for the plan to complete. And then we will launch the next attack against the position south of Brest-Litovsk and see if we can manage to break through there. That should be done relatively soon. Situation in Sweden, we are still waiting for additional mountain divisions to come in. But by now they have 3 divisions concentrated here, so I'm not too sure if we can easily break that. We might have to look for a different opportunity, but we will see where we can find it. For now, this is static, and Kenya is still waiting for the supply lines to come online. Let me just close that there. Sorry, the microphone was in the way. Okay, so supply hub, it doesn't have a supply connection. Oh, because we've lost the railway connection. That's why. Yeah, the railway connection has been interrupted, so we need to restore the Northern Railway here in order for that to work. Okay, Memel looks like it's holding, and we are at 51% plan completion. So I think we'll be ready reasonably soon. And then we'll launch the next attack in trying to retake Brest-Litovsk. Now this is overall turning out to be a slow grind a little bit because of the sheer amount of enemy troops that we're facing here along the lines, which means we do have to look for strategic opportunities to break through and whittle down the enemy numbers. So I think the focus will be on the heavy tank divisions. The next one is going to become active relatively soon, and with that, I think we will be starting to see a change in fortune, and then we'll have to begin breaking down the enemy positions. Also, the theoretical approach of a naval landing behind enemy lines in Königsberg may become interesting. However, we don't know how there is still a sizable number of enemy shipping in the Baltic Sea, and the Black Sea Fleet by itself is probably not the most capable out here. So that would be a tricky proposition. Now we do have a fair amount of mines, but I haven't really seen any enemy movements. What we can try is I don't know if there is any shipping between Germany and Sweden, because I think 1,000 mines may be the limit. But what we can do is we can begin to try to attempt to do some convoy raiding. And I don't know. I don't think we need to necessarily mine the Black Sea very much, but you never know. We'll do it for now. But we'll do some convoy raiding in the Baltics and see if we can tease out the enemy fleet, whatever forces are available here, and see if we get a bit of intelligence about what's going on there. We might also have to begin infiltrating the naval forces of the enemy to get a better idea of what we are facing. Now I need you to return here, please, because that is where we are. Facing the complete. That is where we are facing the complete German army coming in, and at least the armored wing of it. And here we're still waiting for the rest of these. Okay, they're coming in now, so we're getting additional mountain divisions coming in. And we're back in the same position as prior. So as soon as these are in place, I think we'll have a bit more firepower to bring to bear in order to create a pincer movement and maybe take out some of the Swedes. Here we have retaken the railway, and we are waiting for 7 days for the lines to be repaired, and then we should have supply for a further expansion of operations southwards. How is this looking here? Ambitious Persian counterattacks against South African divisions here, but other than that, not an awful lot. So let's get back to Brest-Litovsk, where we are fully planned. So we are once again going to begin the assault with 2 heavy tank divisions. And then we'll get the 3 light tanks as backup in here. And now we should have a 66% planning bonus. The low supply doesn't help, but Stefan is an experienced commander, so is von Manstein. How well entrenched are they at this point? 18%. Okay, it could be worse. Where do I have my operatives? I do have an operative stationed here, so technically, Smirnova, could I may have to actually bring her over to Brest-Litovsk in order to get some information on the ground. If I'll leave her in Warsaw for now, but if this attack fails, then I might have to bring her in for some assistance on the ground. How is it looking in the air? Still vicious air battles, and still similar trades and numbers here. However, how are our air wings looking? 90%, around 90%. They're managing to maintain around 90%, which isn't bad, given that we've been in extended combat operations for quite a while. So let's see if we can crush through the enemy formations this time around, and we'll see if we will see how much firepower we can bring to bear here. Obviously the tank divisions are relatively new still, so what they're lacking a bit is hardness. So I would like to increase the hardness of them still, but that'll require half trucks, which we simply don't have at this point. So we'll make do with what we've got. But yes, we are rapidly breaking through the enemy positions here. The question is, can we break them quickly and fast enough that before they can reinforce? Currently only the 11th, and now they're starting the counterattacks again from the north. So multiple combat is not helping, but once the front lines there have sorted themselves out, then I think we can eventually manage to break their positions here. And the Azerbaijani assault against Brest-Litovsk as a diversionary tactic is certainly helping along as well. Memel is holding. They've now fallen back to sending in the infantry first, which is a lot easier to defeat. And our troops in Sweden are almost in position for another attempt at cutting off some divisions here. And we are how many days away? 2 days away. So on the 13th, we'll have supply, and then we can begin operations again. But first, the question: can we take the positions south of Brest-Litovsk and break through the enemy formations there? Radio interception group is complete, which means we can now begin. We can probably switch to the Okay, that's going to take forever. 1,000 days if we, 3 years if we were to break the German cipher. It's even taking longer to break the Austrian. So we'll put that on pause for now and start working on the German cipher. We also have to potentially put a bit more into passive defense, and we can. Yeah, I'm hesitant to spend 15 factories on this, but is there anything else that we need right now? That's coordinated strike. That is intelligence, sabotage. That is detection. Yeah, the aptly named pills. I might actually get the civilian department going as well, so that would be good. We are not spy master, by the way, by the looks of it. So we could get a few operatives for 50. How's that looking? Okay, we are beginning to deal with the combat casualty problems with propaganda. So I think it's worth spending the 50 on becoming spy master, because that'll give us additional operatives. And that will allow us to deploy them more effectively across multiple positions. But first of all, now I am curious to see how the situation develops in Brest-Litovsk. I don't actually know why the 11th is the only one attacking right now. We should have additional divisions coming in, but at night we're obviously not quite as effective as during the day. And hopefully we get the other divisions to join. It's a question of coordination and reinforcement, and then we will see if we can manage to break through there. The unity of doctrine has been completed, which gives us land doctrine cost reduction, and we get 5% max planning, more command power increase, and 10% coordination. The coordination is huge because coordination allows us to focus our fire much better. So that then leads to the question of what do we do next? Violence of death, I think, would a 20% artillery attack and 25% railway gun bombardment. Yeah, I am in favor. What else could we get? This is logistics. Don't really need that yet. This is blocked. This is factories. There are still some really useful things here. But the other thing that I was looking at is to grab a few additional dockyards, because we are potentially looking at naval operations as a more viable option in the Baltic against the hardened German lines. So this would. Both are 35 days. This is 3 dockyards, and this is a free naval engineering facility. So it's the same number of dockyards, and I think with that, gateway to the Baltic is what we will take. So let's make that happen. We have another heavy tank division that we can bring to the front lines. I'll bring it towards Kobrin for now. But I'm not necessarily planning yet to have it committed to the front lines, or to Pinsk, maybe not to the front lines due to the supply situation. But we might pull the light tanks off the lines and let the heavy tanks figure this out by themselves. Now, can we get this line reinforced? It depends on the combat width. Yeah, because it depends on why are we changing combat width on an offense? That is interesting. It shouldn't actually change unless we get additional attacks from additional positions, which we can't against south of Brest-Litovsk. They're sending troops now to reinforce the lines in the south, but we'll see how that goes. The general idea is to bring the heavy tanks forward and push them out before they can significantly reinforce. Okay, so we've got a heavy and a light tank division here now, and that's on the line. All right, the further research, the PPSH-43 assault rifle. Now that is something we'll need definitely to work to make things work. I am tempted, and I think I will actually begin research for the half trucks, because these things have got a 60% hardness, so they would make a much better addition to the heavy tank divisions. We are going to need additional amounts of rubber for that. We have actually a surplus of rubber at this point. The Indians want to send us some fighters. Sure, if you've got spares, we'll take them. And we now have to obviously fix the production. Where does that automatically get? Yeah, it does. It gets things. So we will now change the production line, and that's why I haven't upgraded these rifles anymore. So we are now beginning assault rifle production in earnest, and we can actually convert a bit of captured equipment into assault rifles. So we'll do that just to get them out into the field faster. So that's that. We have that's the single unassigned division. Yeah. How's the special project coming along? We're still at 33% progress towards the breakthrough, so it's still a fair ways away. Memel is holding. But my interest currently lies in Brest-Litovsk, if we can break that enemy position here, with some creative assaults. Now, the mountain troops here are beginning... Okay, you are actually not supposed to be here. I need you here. The Norwegians are bringing in additional things, and the Ottomans have cancelled the non-aggression pact. Now, that is a bit of an issue, because we don't have troops on the lines here. So we are going to need, how much more do we have? We can still get a few infantry divisions out. We can potentially pull a few divisions for now off the line here near Komolkanet and Mongolia. So we have reinforced the Far East a bit against potential conflict with Japan. Who in fact, they have crossed the defense line south of Beijing. Okay, Japan is now making definite progress here. I don't know if they've landed behind enemy lines here in Tianjin, but I think Japan is beginning to make significant progress in China. And the German and apparently South African divisions are holding out against the Indian counterattacks in Burma. So that is something. How's the Kenya situation? Yes, we have supply. Okay, that means I need all the. I need this to be shorter, because I need all the. No, that looks okay. There we go, and then up to here. No. All right, I'll organize the front lines. The idea is to get all the assault division as well as the mountain division ready for the attack towards Nairobi, because that's the strategic goal. So I'll go and fix the front lines. Okay, I believe I may have run into a bug. For some reason, the front line gets created here, which doesn't really make a difference. It's the same province. It's just that we're going this way. Kenya is in the war. I've double-checked that. So there's no reason why this shouldn't work. But yeah, just ignore that. Imagine that these 5 divisions are on this line here and getting ready for an assault into Nairobi, while we have the rest of the troops holding the flank here. And we have to keep a constant eye on potential counterattacks. Right. Troops here, yeah, still need to organize themselves, but we've got some mountain divisions now in the north. And we are still holding Memel against vicious German attacks. But the more interesting part for now is going to be, now that we have the tanks again on the front line, can we break through the enemy positions here? It could be that the front line on the attack actually changes if we get counterattacks from the northern position. That changes the combat width of the attack, even though it's technically two different assaults. So I don't think it should, but it seems that may be how it's working. So it's a bit of a weird situation, but for now it's a single tank division that's involved here, and we'll see how that goes. The air situation, actually, it seems, they've given up on bombing Ukraine, and they're concentrating everything over the critical position in Belarus. Our losses are starting to tick up a little bit, and we do have to keep an eye. Yeah, we're getting into the 80s now, definitely. So with their full concentration on, and we're losing aces left, right, and center. So we're going to have to begin replacing these. Many of our capable aces have lost their lives over Belarus at this point. Another one here. So we'll have to do what we can to complete this operation while we are still fighting there, because we are not going to win this war on the ground alone. We have to win it in the air. Troops here not quite in place yet, and that means we'll keep looking at the. Unfortunately, we can only attack along the single line here. This may be a better. I'm not sure if we could attack this way. It might be possible. So this might be a better vector for a broader front line. But for now, we can bring 1 or 2 armored divisions on, and I don't think they can hold that. So with the planning, with the bonus from the initial bonus from the planned attack, I think we will be pushing them back eventually. And here we are now defending against a counterattack. But I think once that is defended. There we are. Now we can begin the assault into this position, and that, I think, despite the fact that we'll have to cross the river to get there, will deal with the first army division or first infantry division quite decisively. What do we have? We have Dux, which is fighters, I believe, and I think there's only one left. I haven't done a policy because I didn't have the political power. Thrust and weight 10% would be good. This would be production if this is for medium and large planes, don't need that. That's research bonus, that is agility, that is production output, that's this general efficiency cap, and reliability might be nice. But I'm thinking more thrust weight or max speed, but for 5% cost. Or agility. Agility might not be bad. So that's something we could do as well. But for now, we can take the improved Dux, which generally gives everything 5% across the board. So that's actually worth upgrading the designs for. So let me do that quickly. That would be the I-185S, which can get its upgrade, which makes it a more capable plane. We do have the air XP, and I see that worked out really well. Okay, so dear, we call it the T variant. There we go. We'll just do it by hand. Okay, because that looked weird. So now we can get the. We have to close that again. We can get the I-185S replaced with the T variant for a more quality fighter craft. Are we keeping? We're not keeping up with production. Not in the heavy combat scenario that we're currently in. But back around here, we now have, I think, the divisions ready. We just don't know really what it's going to look like. But we'll be going for a direct assault against Nairobi, and that means we crash into the 39th Wehrbezirkskommando, the 8th Wehrbezirkskommando, and an allied division as well. So if we can push through that and directly towards Nairobi, just have to make sure that we leave one division there, and then I think we'll be good. So we'll crush through the enemy lines and see if we can make something happen. in Sweden, I think, we'll be getting through there. So back to the European front, where we are fighting our way through the last reserves on the German front here. And it is the 63rd Austrian Infantry, as well as the 948th Infantry Division. Igor Ivanovich Sikorsky is one of the most successful Russian engineers of the interwar period. By the 1930s, he had become a rather wealthy businessman engineer and was also involved in nationalist politics. His company, Aviation Machine Building Society of Sikorsky, a major aviation designer and arguably the leader in global development of experimental spinning flyers, the term introduced into Russian aeronautics by his right-hand man Nikolai Khamov. Sikorsky had already built the first experimental vertical takeoff apparatus before the Great War, but it took a long time until any design was practical, and in practice his company has focused on more typical planes for some time. Still, Sikorsky never gave up on the idea. Now, with subsidies from the Ministry of War, Sikorsky has completed the first test flight of the S-300, outdoing the earlier flight record of the experimental 1932 attempt. Thanks to a number of new technical innovations, the S-300 seems to be useful for actual mass production and limited military use, making it the first actually functioning military helicopter. So we could either just ignore that, or we could spend 20 political power to complete the helicopter special project. I don't necessarily use that for anything, but I think it's worth just doing it and to see what we can do out of that. So the special project has been completed, which means we have the helicopter brigade now. Not entirely certain. We have a helipad tank module that would give the tank some air attack. That is fascinating. And we have the V4, which can actually be used in combat as well, although it doesn't add too much to the whole. Yeah, we can drop some rockets on enemy things. This is, I think, the recon. One recon isn't particularly great, so I don't necessarily think I'll be using that, but it's nice to have that just in case we need it. All right, for now let's focus and see if we can manage the breakthrough here. So we've got to we've got to concentrate our firepower, and oh dear, things are falling apart rapidly. It looks like I haven't even paid attention, but it looks like the Austrians have taken over Italy. Pietro Nenni has announced that the Italian nation can no longer withstand the pressure from the occupying Austrian forces, committing travesties throughout the country. Italian government has gone into exile, their main forces have capitulated, and the United States of Greater Austria are now in control of their home area. Though the war against the United States of Greater Austria and the rest of the Reichspakt continues, this is an unfortunate setback for all the Third International. Well, that leaves the Union of Britain, really, as the last member, I think, of the... and Norway, obviously, where we're helping out, but let me say the last reasonable member. The last pockets of resistance in France are being wiped out as well, and with that, the situation in the Entente becomes more interesting. Now, I have forgotten about the Ottomans. Yes, they have cancelled that, and I actually need to schedule a new... we might need a few mountain troops for this as well. So let's bring up another. Let's see how many of these we can actually add, because I do want to add a few Marine divisions as well. So let's make it 3 mountain divisions in Vladikavkaz, and then a number of, let's make it 4, and then 20 divisions for guards divisions. But all of these are running on a. I think garrison can take regular. I think what we'll do is we'll prioritize reinforcements in general, and that should provide some force that can secure Georgia and Armenia. That may, however, now, and we keep losing we keep losing aces in dogfights with the Germans, and that means, however, now that we could invite the Kingdom of Greece. Now the problem is that the Kingdom of Greece has a fair few divisions, and they might actually be able to. I'll keep that in the back pocket. I want to see first what the Ottomans are doing, because the Greek will obviously, they could bind a few divisions here if we were to weaken the front lines in the north, but Greece might fall relatively soon without our support, and we can't easily get there in order to bring additional divisions over. Unless, if we did, we can't necessarily supply them, because we don't have supply lines through here unless the Ottomans play ball. And given that they've just cancelled the non-aggression treaty, I am not entirely certain that they are playing ball. So let's leave that as is for now. But there we are breaking through. In Kenya, we are making headways against the defenders with relative ease. And that means we can focus on Brest-Litovsk. Okay, how's Memel looking? Memel is currently holding, actually, after lots of losses there. But we can. Where's my tank division, by the way? That's still making its way over. Take the railway, please. Gonna take forever otherwise. So this assault kind of needs to work, because otherwise, okay, they're reinforcing again significantly. But I think we have pushed them out, and with that, we have the tanks have rolled over the enemy position, and with that, I believe we have achieved a positional victory south of Brest-Litovsk, because now what we can do is we can launch the main assault. Now, we probably want to give the tank divisions a little time to recuperate. So I am going to have to make sure that, now this is a complete mess of front lines here, that they're not actually returning to the previous province, but that they stay remaining where they are. Although it doesn't really matter that much. I think we'll let things organize themselves. There might be some infantry moving around and some tanks moving around, but it doesn't matter that much. So we'll get everything to sort itself out here, and then we will begin the main assault against Brest-Litovsk proper. And for that, we do need to plan a new offensive. So the tank divisions along the lines here are going to get the task to take Brest-Litovsk, and the same goes for the storm infantry divisions, so they can begin planning that. And with that, I believe we can now bring as well the next tank division onto the front line for the 6th Army, and get them to join the forces here. We'll take the railway to Kobrin, and then we can reposition there. All right, that's probably okay. We have aerial superiority over Belarus. How's that happening? But while we're planning that, I am going to ground the Air Force to give them a bit of an opportunity to recover some, because they've been flying day and night for weeks now in the support of this assault. We give them some time to recover, and we are at this point just waiting for the planning to complete. And once that's done, then we'll launch the main assault against Brest-Litovsk. Now, after that, I think what we can do, my overall plan was after taking Brest-Litovsk to move on to Bialystok, and I think we can, with the tanks, with 3 heavy tank divisions now available. What we can do is we can begin offensive operations and a breakout out of the Volkovisk sector, which is the least defended sector. Unfortunately, this is mostly forested terrain. But we do have, in preparation for that assault, I think we're going to get. We can't change the type of the 8th Army yet, because we don't have enough. We don't have enough equipment, but we're close, honestly. It's the towed anti-air, a few more flame tanks, and a bit more infantry equipment. So I think what we'll do is getting Drozdowski's 8th Army in preparation already converted. And once the equipment is present, then we can use these troops to assist with the push into the north. Now, how does that look supply-wise? So if we take Bialystok, that is going. Yeah, that's the next task. So if we take Bialystok, then that removes the major supply hub for the northern flank of the enemy troops. And then what we'll try is to we could either go into Warsaw and expand there, or we could try to push north, shorten the lines here, and see if we can assault, man assaults against the Königsberg-Danzig line, and just collapse the whole northern front line, which is where the bulk and the elite of the German armored forces are concentrated. So if we can break out through that, eradicate some divisions as we go, and then eventually threaten Königsberg, we can relieve Memel and regain strategic initiative. So that's the plan for now. We have managed to encircle a Swedish division. That means we can look at Kenya now, where it's just the 8th Wehrbezirkskommando, which is still resisting, but we have managed to push them out, which means we can now begin to. They're trying to reinforce the position, so I'm going to launch a quick assault in that direction while the rest of the troops is moving through. And we might actually, together with the Indians, we might actually be able to push them back here. But I don't want to divert too much troops from that position. So let's make sure that they haven't broken us. No, they're still putting large amounts of troops into the completely unsupplied jungle of Central Africa. But instead, what we are doing is we're going after Nairobi. So that's on the way. And that means here we have now encircled and cut off two Swedish divisions, which we can now begin to destroy from multiple directions. So these two divisions aren't getting anywhere. The 8th and the 19th are going to surrender. And this way, we are starting to wear down the Swedish positions. I think that's probably a war of attrition in Sweden is the best approach, trying to get them to eventually capitulate. And we'll see. Okay, we have taken. The Mountaineers have moved forward. Are currently defending against counterattacks from the north, but we are using the speed and the momentum of the mountain divisions here, trying to push straight through towards Nairobi. Now we will leave one guards division behind for defense, and the rest of the troops is actually going to move on. Of course, we do have to now try once more to see if we can fix the front lines finally. Is game letting me do that? Game is letting me do that. Okay, nice. So this division stays, the rest moves forward. And we can actually even support the attack here and secure the right flank. So that's going on. Memel under attack. Brest-Litovsk now surrounded from two sides. And I think once we've pushed them over the river, we have inflicted the first major defeat here, at least tactical defeat on the German lines. Of course, now we have, they're heading over back to Ukraine. So far, they're still not threatening Belarus much, but we'll leave the Air Force. We'll leave the Air Force on the ground for now. Air Force needs to recover. We're currently short 250 fighters, and we're short a bit of infantry equipment as well. So that's going to happen. But we will have a new army raised to eventually deal with the Ottomans. We will have the attack on Brest-Litovsk, the breakout from Brest-Litovsk, and then the push forwards towards Bialystok, kill supply for the northeastern sector, and then move on, clear Suwałki, Mariampol, and then make our way towards Königsberg in an attempt to encircle and destroy the German armored spearhead, which is currently consisting of, I think last time I checked it was over 20 tank divisions. Right now it's 18 German tank divisions and 17 Austrian tank divisions for a massive number. But that's all underway, and the war support is improving. The war support situation is improving. The propaganda is working. And last thing I'm going to check is, can I do have enough air experience to get these done again. So this would be ground support, strategic bombing, naval mission, strategic bombing, and this is interception detection. Yeah, none of these is effective. I just wanted to switch from the ACE initiative to formation fighting for the additional 15% mission efficiency. So I'm just going to get ground support for now. The last thing, however, that we're going to do this today, because now I haven't forgotten, is to construct a new battleship. And that shall be, I think we'll cancel some of the refits here, and instead concentrate that on a new class. But we have the improved heavy hull, so we can now, and I've done this already before, I think, so I'll spare you the details a second time around, but I shall design a new battleship. And here we have it, with 6 barrels forward, 3 barrels in the rear, relatively small caliber with 305 millimeters, but it's the best we have available at this point, with a good set of 120 millimeter secondary batteries in casemates, which is a little bit outdated as well, but such is life. However, we have an improved radar, a naval search radar for additional hit chance, and radar-guided gunnery, as well as a improved fire control system with a ballistic computer in it. And all of that for 48 naval experience is the Sevastopol class. So that means we are going to construct said Sevastopol class, and we're going to construct 2 of them in parallel. And there we go. We've got the Sevastopol herself and the Poltava under construction. However, it is going to take quite a while. Now, I am going to prioritize. I might actually take 2 factories off here. Yeah, there we go. So we'll prioritize the construction of new ships. But we are having additional dockyards coming in, so the refits will get additional priority once more, once the additional dockyards are in, and then begin the refit operations. So we've got from here, we've got 3 dockyards. That's another 3, and that's another 3. So we can grab some dockyards out of the focuses, which means the construction lines are free to deal with actual factories, which, interestingly enough, we have cleared relatively well. So we can now actually use the factories to clear out the infrastructure repair from the German bombing. And once that's clear, I want to get through that first, because that'll also improve the situation on the front lines. Once that's clear, then we can actually probably refocus a bit on industrialization and do a few other things. Now we have the Ismailia. It's somewhat outdated, but I don't want to go through that again. So last thing, I have army experience. Unfortunately, I think the 33% was just for the land doctrine, not for the special forces. So we have to pay full price for the army doctrine, but that is. We have to use it for the mountaineers. This would be movement, attack, defense for in snow, and this would be on the mountains. So we could train in Siberia, or we could train in the Caucasus. I am thinking that mountains are going to be the better, given that it is for mountaineers, and we're not only fighting in winter, but we're also fighting in Africa. So I think I'm going to go with Caucasus training. Let's do that. And I think that unlocked a new, let me have a quick look. Did that unlock a new Army Scouts? Yes. So that has compared to the so right now we've got the right now we've got the regular cavalry recon, which gives us 10% movement in mountains. If we swap these out for the Army Scouts that we now have, that gives us attack and defense in mountains. Oh yes, we are doing that. So that means additional. That means better. That means in mountains. Where are we now? Mountains. We now get 50% attack, 30% movement, and 23% defense. That is pretty significant. So definitely worth doing. And that allows us, once we've refitted those, that allows us to be quite a bit more effective. So coming up in the next episode, further attritional war in Sweden, the assault on Brest-Litovsk itself, and potentially a breakout using the heavy tank divisions. Trouble in the Ottomans, maybe. And in Kenya, we're making our way towards Nairobi, and if we can take the enemy capital, and we have a railway line that we're now supplying towards Kampala, and that means that the rest of the enemy troops here is completely out of supply, so they shouldn't be getting anywhere. Then we'll roll things up on the east coast of Africa and begin shrinking the influence of the Germans there.